Welcome
to Crosstalk.
episode.
What episode are we on?
What do you think?
20?
20.
All right. We have made it to 20 episodes. That's interesting. Feels like we've been doing this a long time, but not a long time at the same time.
Something like that.
It was warm weather when we first started this. Because I remember the interview with Karen, I was wearing like a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of towards the end of winter where the weather's changing again.
It's spring, though.
It is definitely springy. Yeah. Super exciting. Hey, we're coming off of a very, very, very busy Holy Week. We recorded an episode last week. Then kind of Wednesday night until Sunday was just a mad rush of
Pretty much.
rehearsals for musicians and services with our people. Also, this is our first year doing a Good Friday service. Typically, we've done Monday, Thursday in the past. I think we had 20 to 25 at Monday, Thursday last year. There were 50 of you who came to Good Friday. So awesome job. That was wonderful. We had a really great time worshiping the Lord together. Thanks for coming to Sunrise, being up early, shouting praises to the Lord. Thank you to all the other partnering SAMA churches that came and participated in that, and celebrating the resurrection of our Lord at our 10 o'clock service as well. So I was so, I guess, just decompressing from the previous week. I am the president of the South Adams Ministerial Association, and I forgot that the meeting was at 8 a.m. yesterday morning. I got a text at 8:10 from Mike Wilson, our awesome vice president and former president for like 8 years. And he said, are you coming to SAMA? Do you need me to run the meeting? And I was like, oh, shoot. I'll be there in 15 minutes with agendas. Yes, go ahead and run it. And I didn't miss a great deal of stuff. And you know what? Old Brad would have panicked and tried to hurry and tried to, push my daughter out the door faster to get to preschool. But I was like, nope. I can't be any less late than I am. And I'm not going to sprint in there and huff and puff and cause a distraction. I'll just walk in like normal, and things went just fine. They did say, though, as a consequence, I have to be president next year because I didn't make this meeting on time. I have to make all the meetings on time next year. So, but I'm okay with that. I'm happy to and honored to serve in that role for SAMA. Upcoming stuff, I guess, in the church and in the community. The only thing we have here, I think, is the financial workshop on the 19th, if you signed up for that Josh Sprunger is going to be running. And then National Day of Prayer will be at the Clock Tower Thursday, May 7th at noon. And that is a SAMA event. I'll be there along with Mike Wilson, several others, city officials, such like that. So it should be a really great time. If you want to come to the, Minsterberg Plaza? Munsterberg. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. I'm not from Bern. And I was born in West Virginia. Forgive my enunciations. But we're going to have a wonderful time praying. It's half hour to an hour. I'm still trying to learn some of these things as I exist in them for the first time. But it's fun. It's good. Weather's changing. Things are getting bright and shiny. Youth group students are kind of in the slum of the final push to finish the school year, and they're tired and wore out and ready to be done, right?
Lackadaisical.
I'm teaching campus life on Friday morning, and I said, hey, is there any important themes going on in their lives right now, or topics that you want to drive home? And I got the final slum of the school year kind of to persevere through that is kind of where they're feeling at. So I know our teachers are the same. As the husband of a teacher, she's ready for summer. And I think Azaria is just happy to have fun all the time, but that's okay. So
I'm ready for summer. I'm ready to have warm weather and a little less going on. And I'm not even terribly busy. I'm just ready for things to be slow, and
the schedule shifts a little bit. You go from more
It'd also be nice to have students available more often.
Right.
To
And you can
do
more-
fun stuff.
More fun stuff, more.
Spoiler alert, I like doing the fun stuff more than the hard stuff.
But I will tell you, in the fun stuff and the experiences that you create in the flexibility of a summertime where it's not as structured, I found that time that you spend together just goes way further.
Oh yeah. Last
so
summer,
I'm
I
looking
I had
forward
no
to
idea
that
what I
with
was
you.
doing, and basically every kid that I met over the summer that came to a few things doesn't come now. For the most part, my students are like who I met in the summer and who I have now is basically not the same group of kids.
Yeah, which is crazy how much change can happen in one season of the school year ministry,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm excited for you now that it's not brand new. You get here at the beginning of summertime and then you're trying to catch up over the next couple months to build through a school year. I feel like you've had a really good second semester.
Yeah. I think, no offense to you, now that I'm writing my own lessons and doing what I want to do, I feel like it's going better.
Yeah. Well, it will be, because that's your heart understanding the context and the lives of these kids day in and day out.
Yeah.
And that's what you're speaking to.
And I don't think that what I was teaching on most of last semester was making any sense to them. I think they were kind of just lost all the time
Yeah.
and not catching it.
I had a different audience with
Yes.
my kids.
I want to get to the point where you were with your kids, but my kids are not there.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It is. It's absolutely okay. And I think this is kind of part of the, I guess I'm kind of interviewing you now. So as you're approaching your almost first completed school year season of youth ministry.
It's 10 months today that I've been on the
10
job.
months today? Yes. June 8th, right?
Yeah. I came on a Sunday,
That's awesome.
fresh off of vacation.
Yeah. And you're going to be doing your first sermon fresh off of vacation. How exciting.
How exciting. But anyway, you had questions for me.
Yeah. So I guess in your first year of youth ministry, what has been, I guess, one of the most challenging things that you didn't anticipate would be a challenging thing?
I'll say this. I underestimated. Now, I was warned. I'll say this. I was warned that communication with these students was tricky. I underestimated how tricky it was communicating with them digitally when I'm not in front of when we're not face to face. Communicating with them is super hard. Not that I don't understand. I know exactly what I'm doing with technology to communicate, but getting them to respond and pay attention and remember and retain information about what I've said in a text message is aggravatingly, stupidly hard. Like there was 5 or 6 weeks in a row, I would get asked, "What time are you coming to pick me up?" And at first I'd just say, "Oh, like this time," right? And it was the same time. It never changed. And then eventually I got tired of it. I said, "It's the same time that it always is." And they go, "What time is that?" I'm like, in my head, do you guys not know how to scroll 4 or 5 times up in the thread and look and see what I've said the last 5 or 6 weeks?
Oh, man.
Just recently, they've stopped asking me what time things start and happen. Finally.
Just in time for the final 6 weeks of gathering
Not even.
before they're going to do it all over again next year.
I hope I have them trained.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
I say that, and I might have them trained, and then we're going to change stuff for the fall, and then it will all fall apart again.
So okay, so I guess in the other vein, that's the challenge piece has been communication. What's kind of been a win of the youth ministry world as you're kind of discovering it in this first year?
I feel like I have a solid core of students that come basically every week, and there's a solid 8 to 10 students that are here. I'd say out of a quarter or a semester of a school year, I feel like they're here about 85 to 95% of the time, which has been
They're
it's
a
been
faithful
good.
bunch.
They're fairly faithful. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good about coming to stuff. And yeah, it's been nice to have, a solid core of students that are here pretty much every week, and to have, we're building relationships slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think from afar, what I've observed is a couple of wins for you. They really seem to have taken to you well.
Yeah. I have a funny story about that.
Sure.
My youth group, if you don't know, is like basically all girls. There's a couple boys, and the boys, there's like there's two consistent boys, one high schooler, one middle schooler. And then there's a few other boys kind of on the fringes that are very flippant about being here. Anyway, and so a lot of them are girls, and they're sassy, and that's how teenage girls are. And I'm not, I had a teenage sister, I'm not, it's nothing new to me, but they're always like giving me a hard time and like making fun of me and being mean to me. And they're just playing.
It's nothing malicious.
It's nothing malicious, but after so many times it gets kind of old. And so I decided to play around with them. And I said, I don't think you guys like me. I think you guys are mean to me. And I just pointed at one person in particular that's always giving me a hard time. Like, I don't think you like me. I think you hate me. And I said all these things. And she's like, I don't hate you. I like being your, She got her
just to put her on the hot seat.
Got her all bent out of shape. She's like, I'm not being mean. I'm not mean. I'm like asking the people, is she mean? They're like, yeah, she's mean. She's mean. So she got a little taste of her own medicine. That's nice.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. No, always keep them on their toes. Make them squirm a little bit.
She's not perfect, but she has been the most invitational student I have.
That's amazing.
Like I can remember the first couple of weeks, like she's like, can I pick up this friend and this friend and this friend? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Eventually I had to stop saying yes. Like, they need permission slips. They need this. They need that. But the first couple of weeks when I was having a lot of grace for all that kind of stuff, like she has brought and helped me retain 2 or 3 students that are part of that solid core.
That's amazing.
Without her, I would not have a good chunk of the youth group.
Have you expressed that to her?
I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. I would do that like towards the end of this year. Just make sure that, point that out and let her know that that's been meaningful and noticed. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So yeah, that's one win that I've observed is they've taken to you well, and that banter is a love language.
Yeah.
We've seen that with our buddy Lee Sprunger before too. Banter is his love language.
Hope you're well, Lee.
Yes. I'm gonna come see you in a couple days.
Watch out.
Yeah. So, another one that I've observed is you've got what seems to be a really solid set of volunteers who are pretty faithful with you.
Yeah.
That's been awesome from a driving standpoint, from a mentorship standpoint. Having Carol and Kenrick jump on board with you, I think has been really good. And
it's been great having Kenrick and having another adult man in the room. That's been valuable to me.
Yeah, and Jesse's hanging on as a faithful who's survived this thing ever since all the transitions and stuff like that too. So you've got a good mixed bag, a lot of experience, and that's helpful. And obviously your wonderful wife who comes and participates, and I don't know if Abby serves this way for you, but Kylie was always my source of wisdom in the room for a lot of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And comfort and peace and all of that. So.
And everyone loves Carol.
Yes.
When she's not here for one reason or another, like, where's Carol? Where's Carol? I'm like, oh, she's blah, blah, blah.
Seeing family in another state.
But like, they're always like asking about her, or she's like, have you seen Carol? Like, oh yeah, I think she's doing, this or that, she'll be up here soon. And she'll walk like, and everyone stops. Carol, everyone loves Carol. Yep. I love Carol too. Yep.
That's the appropriate response to warmly welcome her. So no, I'm thankful you're here. I think you're doing an awesome job. We have the honor to love and serve these students. I'm looking forward to talking to them again next week. Thanks for...
You're running the show next week.
Letting me come in. Yeah, I know. Let me come in and just hang out with them from time to time. I think that's important and meaningful. And, I like the questions they ask. That's my favorite part.
They do have good questions.
Is when they're not afraid, right? Like when I would try to push questions at our last church, sometimes I knew I would only get leverage out of like one or two kids if I threw a question to the room. That's where small groups really worked well for that group once it got bigger.
Yeah.
Is because they were more comfortable in a smaller setting.
Yeah. I would like to do small groups. It's just not between the time that I have and the volunteer base that I have. I just don't have, I don't have the right things to do small groups. And I don't actually know if it would actually work out all that well. Even if I had everything I needed, would it actually be beneficial?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I only did it because it got to a point where it was.
Sure.
Like I had enough middle schoolers and high schoolers where I could have a middle school boys group, a high school boys group.
I can't split like that. I would have.
Right. You'd have two boys that are like several years apart.
And very different maturity levels.
Right.
Very, very different.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't even do that for like 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
It was a while before that kind of came along. And that's not the only way to do it either.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is your kids are not afraid to like ask questions in the room and have open dialogue and discussion and just a raw hunger for knowledge. And you know, sometimes they're unafraid to ask questions like some of us church people are afraid to ask out loud, that we may even have the same one. And I think we can learn something from that. You know,
Yeah.
there's never a bad time to ask a question. And I think that's great.
I think coming back, like even just after the first semester of college, going through biblical history and literature with Dr. John Noble, I came back.
Shout out John Noble.
Actually, I guess it was after freshman year. I can remember going to my home church and asking questions that people don't normally ask of the teacher/pastor that was teaching the Sunday school class. And after I asked a bunch of questions, I asked about like some predestination stuff and, you know, what does the Bible tell us from your perspective? And then, you know, what is the Wesleyan, I used to be Wesleyan, what is the Wesleyan discipline and, you know, theology and all that stuff say about all this? And about half the room was people above the age of 50 and they're just squirming and like very uncomfortable in their seats. And I was kind of told them like, hey, stop asking all those questions. Like you're making everyone uncomfortable.
I don't think that's the right response.
It's not. But
so I've seen this in some church circles where there's been the same Sunday school teacher for...
And it wasn't the same Sunday school teacher. But it's the same people that have been in the same class for a long time.
Right. The people who
anyway.
are in the classes don't push the buttons they always should, which...
No.
Now, I will shout out our Wednesday night crew, because sometimes I try to put broad, you know, thought-provoking, open-ended questions and stuff out there to ignite the imagination for this sort of stuff, because I think it's important. Like we have to understand good measures of apologetics if we're going to be faithful evangelizers, right? That's part of that. But I want our people to realize that you can be curious about a lot of this stuff and ask these questions. And, you know, there are really good solutions, and it's good to ask and to discern and to think upon and to reflect upon a bunch of stuff. It doesn't lead us away from the Lord. It leads us closer to him, in my opinion. The more questions I've asked, the more peace I've gotten, even if it's not been the answer I thought I was looking for.
Right.
I've been given assurance in the Lord. And that's, I think that's the win of the whole matter, right? Is, I stepped out of what was comfortable, and now the horizon just got bigger for my God, and I didn't.
Right.
Wow, this is the first time I've seen this big. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So kudos to your kids for that. Well, outside of that,
I have some things I'm going to ask you.
Oh, good.
Okay, so I'm talking about the Tower of Babel tonight at youth group. Short and sweet. I did a little bit of research on Nimrod because at least the NLT, I don't think even makes mention of him necessarily. It just says like Noah's descendants, but
No,
Or-
I thought it did.
I don't know. I've read a bunch of stuff today. But anyway, I have some questions about what you may or may not know about Nimrod. I guess I'll start with this. What do you know about Nimrod? Because I couldn't learn a whole lot about him. I felt like there wasn't enough, because I wanted to give some background on him, and I didn't have enough, so I just cut the whole section on him.
That's just the name that you tell people you're naming your child when they ask you.
Did you know that it actually means like something opposite of what we would consider now?
Oh, really?
It means like warrior.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I looked on like a biblical encyclopedia
So
on
would this be Genesis
11,
11?
1 to 9.
1 to 9.
It means like warrior, and like they make a big point in something I read to contrast how he is the opposite of like what you'd think about being, an early king, whereas, they make the juxtaposition that so many kings are more like a shepherd, but that Nimrod was more like a warrior and a hunter.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
But
He's not mentioned in verses 1 to 9, is he?
It depends on your translation, I think.
I don't think the ESV mentions him in the first 9 verses.
It was in my commentary that I like to use. They're pretty sure that Nimrod was the ruler / king of that area of Babylon, and that's why they built the tower, because he said so.
Wowzers. Let me see what I can conjure up here.
If you don't know about the Tower of Babel, I'm going to give you a quick summary of what happens. This is sometime after Noah is off the ark. We're led to believe that Nimrod is the great grandson of Noah. Nimrod's father was Cush, and his father was Ham, and then Ham is the father of Noah.
Or son of Noah.
Yes, that's what I meant. I think Ham is the youngest.
Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Yes.
So this is in chapter 10. His kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, Calneh, in the land of Shinar. From that land,
Shinar is where the Tower of Babel was built.
Right. He went into Assyria to build Nineveh.
Mm-hmm.
Rehoboth, Ir, Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah. That is the great city. And then Egypt, and then more descendants.
Anyway, the people wanted to build a tower to
go up to the heavens.
To go up to the heavens, and some biblical scholars and experts say that the goal was to be more like God, and even perhaps try to replace and be God. And that was the issue.
Isn't that the human nature issue of all time anyway?
Yes. And so my commentary makes a note that, if they had built the tower, wanted to be closer to God and to worship him, that he wouldn't necessarily have had an issue with it. But the fact that they were trying to get closer to him and try to reach him and
undermine him,
that was the issue. The other thing that doesn't get talked about a whole lot was that God had told, at the beginning of Genesis 9, had told Noah and his sons to be fruitful and multiply. But the people wanted to stay where they are, and also built this tower to protect themselves from being spread out, because they were comfy and happy and content where they were. And they weren't going forth and multiplying like God told them to. And that's part of the problem here as well.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing how much human nature shows up in all these stories.
And then what did I tell you and Adam earlier? What's
the commentary that you use?
It is the Old Testament commentary by Thomas Hale.
Oh, Thomas Hale's is really good. Yeah. Since you'd mentioned the commentary several times, I wanted to let our listeners know.
Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of paraphrasing with my own language to make it jive a little bit better with my students. Time after time, we see how God's ultimate purposes cannot be thwarted by things like confusion of language, scattering of people, or even a flood.
Yeah. No, I think that's phenomenal. And
then because you're going to talk about Abram next week, I'm giving a very, very quick and dirty introduction to Abram, because that at the end of Genesis 11, after they've given a whole account of genealogy and ancestry, they talk about Abram just real quick. And something that I hadn't really thought about before that was interesting was that they talk about how Abram came to be, and he has Sarai, and they've kind of adopted their nephew Lot because Lot's dad is gone and dead, and they talk about how she's barren, and the commentary makes a note that like God was setting up, the ancestry that would eventually be Jesus's ancestry through Abram and Sarai, and there's a parallel here that God is using supernatural means to give Abram and Sarai their child in the same way that God is going to give Mary a child that will be Jesus.
Yeah. I think
I
think that's remarkable.
What?
And he does it again with Zechariah and Elizabeth right before Jesus.
Right.
So it's like there's that parallel in Genesis to what we see with Jesus being born to Mary, and then you see the same thing happen with Zechariah and Elizabeth. He's a high priest right before.
Well, and isn't Samuel also?
Samuel's a story of that too. Yeah, where Hannah dedicated the Lord, and was it Rachel was the one who was barren to Jacob as well. So there's a lot of stories about this in the scriptures, and our good friend Allison from our last church, when I heard her talking about the Abraham and Sarah barrenness account, she said Sarah was thinking this whole time that the Lord wasn't providing, was withholding all this, that, and the other her entire life, when the time for Isaac to be born was when the Lord said it was time for Isaac to be born. And we don't like that.
No, we don't.
Thing. And in our lives with the desires that we have. And, God promises to make him a great nation.
Right.
But they're looking at the human and the natural and the explainable means for that.
Well, and then here's the harder part, right? You desire and you want something so bad, and you want something that's good and edifying to your life, like having a child, and to continually like not have a child and not be able to conceive a child. And like, you think of that as something that is like there's nothing wrong or sinful or bad about wanting to have a child. Like, I want to be fruitful and multiply like God commands us to be. I want to do what I'm told to do in the Bible, and I can't do it. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, does God hate me? Like, what's the problem? What's the issue here? Just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and a quote from C.S. Lewis that I absolutely love: God will not make a person to wait unless he sees it fit that it is good for them to wait. In some way that we can't always see, it might just be good for us to wait upon the Lord. Micah 7:7, right? It just that's a big piece of the whole puzzle.
But it can be hard to wait when you think that your desires, when the desire of your heart is something pure and good, and
absolutely,
like it's hard to.
It doesn't come without groanings.
To justify in your mind and in your heart, like, I want this thing that's so good. It's good for me. And it's good for everyone. And I can't have it. Why can't I have good things that are, I'm commanded to do and be?
Right. Yeah. No, so. It's a hard pill to swallow. And, there's a lot of couples that experience that, I mean, my wife and I have been on some of that journey anyhow. We've talked about that from the pulpit a little bit before. And
we've been on that journey, but we've also been
on the other side of it too, but praise the Lord.
We've been blessed that, we have issues, but we think we understand how to overcome those things. And it's a tricky balance, I'll say this, between science and God. God is bigger than science, always. does
But
how much influence does God have over, fertility and, conception of children when you have issues, and how much of it is science, and how much of it is it's all God, and how much of it is God influencing science? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think this is simpler than we try to make it out to be sometimes. Just pray and use your discernment.
Right.
And what I'll say is a guy who's relying on medication to stay alive every day and insulin. Here, listeners, here's my pen that keeps me alive and with smart glucose, and I have a monitor stuck to my arm or the other arm at all times to read my blood sugars, which has been life-changing technology. Now, for years, everyone in my family, my mom and my aunt are also type 1. And it's not hereditary. It's like environmental, something strange. There was C8 in the water down where I grew up when I was a kid.
Thanks, DuPont.
Dark Waters. Anyway, that's the movie. It was made about it with Mark Ruffalo. But knowing I've got an endocrine disease that I just have to live with, praying for years and years and years for healing, I mean, type 1 diabetes doesn't terribly affect my life because I've got medicine and technology that makes it really possible for me to live a normal life. And I'm so thankful for that. Not that the Lord can't completely heal, but I think in some ways this is an answer to that prayer, right? In the same way, like fertility treatments and IVF and those types of things can be solutions to and provisions that I think the Lord has made. The Lord is sovereign over the science and the practice of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Now, people misuse stuff when we talked about the artificial intelligence thing, right?
Yeah.
There is potential to really not use this well.
Yes.
So everything comes down to discernment and stewardship, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it be the inheritance you leave to your kids, whether it be, okay, I can do a great many of good things. I have the ability and the skills to do good things. God, what good things do you want me to do?
Yeah.
It all comes down to just try not to think you have to figure out all the problems on your own. And I am the pot calling the kettle black here. I mean, I am a problem solver. I want to chew it up and discover what's going on, and I get a thrill of the challenge and overcoming the challenge. But that's not applicable to everything in life. And it's good to wrestle in the tension of, hey, God, I just don't know what this is, but I trust that you're good and you're going to get me through it anyway.
Yeah.
So, well, we said it was going to be a short episode, but here we are 45 minutes later.
Not quite. We're in the 30s.
Oh, we're in the 30s? That's not too bad.
We're good. I had something else I was going to ask, I don't remember.
Sorry. Hopefully it comes back to you.
Hopefully. Well, we were talking about the Tower of Babel, and we're talking about a little bit of Abram and Sarai. Is that how you say that? Sarai?
Sarai. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or Sarai. I don't know if it terribly matters, and Dr. Noble would tell me otherwise. But since I don't know the answer, I will accept either.
Abram's wife.
Yeah.
Well, here's a good question for you. Well, I think, and this might be short, but I'll ask you anyway. What's the deal? I've been asked this at youth group a couple times. What's the deal with like wives of people just flat out not being named in the Bible?
If those individual people are critically important to the Lord because he created them in his image after his likeness. But if their mention isn't directly important to his salvation story that he's writing, then it's just not important.
Does that mean that they were in there at one time and they've been kind of cut out because it's not adding anything to the story? Or they've never been named?
I don't think they were mentioned. I just don't think they were named. I mean, they would have been named in their lifetime.
Right. Yes, but
not
written down anywhere.
I mean, think about it this way. So, think of all the important kings of the world who have been through their governance and their seat and everything. You're not going to the names of their, peasants and servants and butlers aren't going to be mentioned because they're not critical to the story that's happening in the governance of the situation, right?
Are you saying that the wives are peasants?
No, I'm saying that their role would have been very different, especially in the ancient world.
Sure.
Where, I mean, shoot, we know Jesus had earthly sisters and we don't know their names.
Right.
And I think in the ancient world, it wasn't common to name them all that often.
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable that we have the female disciples named.
There were female disciples?
Not apostles, but disciples.
Okay.
Yeah. So they didn't have apostolic authority, but so Joseph of Arimathea was a disciple of Jesus, a student of Jesus.
Okay.
But the 12, they were disciples because they were students of Jesus, but they were apostles because they were eyewitnesses of Jesus and ushered in the church for the first time. So that's what made them capital A apostles. So, but yeah, I guess the Lord just didn't need us to know the names of those people.
Yeah.
Is the only, I don't think for some reason, we just didn't need to know more than what we know.
They won't like that answer.
No, but hold things in tension, It's not so much about every detail to its end in the biblical, because you're going through a narrative right now too.
Right.
Those people are obviously not main characters in the story. They're extras, right?
Yeah.
As we would call it in a modern film type of description. So thinking of it as a story that's being told, it's also a biblical event, a real thing that happened, but it's being told as a story of an event that happened. So I think helping them understand the genre a little bit with that is, I guess, going to be kind of my job next week to try to get through. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Did you think about your other question yet?
No, but I'll ask you something else.
Okay.
What kind of fun things are we going to do this summer as a church?
Ooh.
Give us an insider preview of what's going to happen this summer.
Well, we're going to probably do the 4th of July party again.
Yeah, that was a big hit.
Which was a big hit. We're going to have...
Hopefully my students will come.
Yeah.
Bring their families.
We'll do bounce house. Maybe
we'll do 2 bounce houses.
Fireworks. Maybe 2 bounce houses. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Maybe 2 bounce houses.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't make Ben scream and call us with that statement, because it's more money to... I'm kidding. It's more money to rent 2 bounce houses. I made a joke. Sorry, Ben Bloom. You're gracious and awesome. And I made a joke that we would be spending more money. Anyhow, but no, we're going to be doing 4th of July gathering.
Well,
grilling.
what's the conversion to attendance rate per bounce house?
That's a really great statistic. Let me ask the Pew Research Center, see if they've got anything on that. Yeah. So we're going to do something with that because you can see the fireworks really well from our yard here. And I think another thing that we want to do, I think it'd be fun to come up with several outdoor activities where we just go to different people's homes and hang out, sit outside and chat for a while, worship the Lord. I like campfire worship, sitting out with a guitar and things like that. So nothing in the works but not a lot of stuff that requires a lot of planning ahead of time. I want to do some stuff where we just be together, have fun, and do some additional things off of gathering in a building where that's all you can do over the wintertime, like 4 months of the year is be inside. So I'm looking forward to being out in the outdoors. And
Are you saying that you don't want to have a snowman building contest next January?
No. Oh, in January. I thought you were going to say July. Yeah. No, we could have a snowman building contest. That'd be fun. We'll have to see how things play out. But yeah, I can build a really big one now that I got my loader tractor here.
Yeah. Just don't scalp the lawn and dig up all the sod when you're trying to scoop it all up.
Yeah, it'll be all right. I can get it out of the street if I have to, or the parking lot. But anyway, no, I don't think I need to sit down and think out the summer calendar a little bit more for us as a church. But absolutely the 4th of July thing we're going to be doing. We do have not specific gatherings, but the men's ministry is going to be doing a Father's Day kind of bring in like a guest speaker in the afternoon and talk about some stuff. So I'll bring some more details here with that pretty soon. But
maybe they should get Tony Dungy to come talk.
Yeah, the more local guy than that. But no, I'm looking forward to the summer and also envisioning stuff for next year. Where are we going? What do we want to do? We're finishing up this Apostles' Creed series, which I think has been really useful for us. And we're going from we believe to therefore we do. And we're going to go through the book of James after your sermon. So I'm excited.
I'm going to try to help us break the attendance record for the last 2 years.
On your Sunday?
On my Sunday.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I've invited
I hope so.
At least 10 or 12 people.
That's awesome. I hope you all come.
And I invited my 2 cousin nephews to youth group tonight. I don't know if they'll come, but
it's awesome.
They just live down the street. They're in town for their spring break right now with my grandparents. So
awesome. Well, I hope they join you.
I hope so too.
I think it's about all we got, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll do another episode when you get back from. We'll have plenty of stuff to talk about then too.
Probably.
Well, blessings to all of you. Thank you for coming to join us. May the Lord bless and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and give you peace. Thanks for coming to Crosstalk.
Don't forget to drink your bologna juice.